I am working in innovation. And in innovation, my focus is on designing experiences and service. And when you work in innovation, the point is that money is rare and expensive, but the possibilities are unlimited. So as designer, our role is to reduce risk. And we reduce risk by answering two questions. The first one is, are we designing the right thing? And the second one is, are we doing it right? So when we ask the question, are we designing the right thing? It's about doing something which is good, which is fair, which is balanced, which really meets some human needs, and that is enhancing us as human. It's not something like it's just aiming at earning more money, it's just changing us as human. And to do so, actually, we need to do it in a very frugal and fast way, because there are so many possibilities. So to achieve it, we have the habit to create prototypes, because prototype is a way for us to make our ideas tangible and concrete. So it's a question of conversation. While you are crafting things, you are thinking by feedback, and then it gives you new ideas, and you can have all these happy accidents and happy things that happen and make you pivot and discover new things. So it's a conversation. It's a way for us to really create what we are thinking, but it's also a way for us to test things. And for a while, it was very easy in the digital industry because we had many ways to do it. Especially we got a whole range of software and applications that were very easy to create interface, interaction, interactive mockups. But the fact is that when you work now in innovation, actually that's not the kind of subject people bring to you. They are asking questions about robots, about 3D printing, about chatbots, about voice interfaces, voice recognition, artificial intelligence. So all the way we used to work is broken, and when we need now to prototype, in fact, it means a lot of time and money to prototype IoT and to prototype with such new technologies. So our question is, what can we do then? When we have a look back in the other pioneer times, we can see that there are stories that can be inspiring us. And I tell you one. It's the one what happened in early 80s. And in fact, the question that people had at that time was, how could work a voice editor where you can get rid of the keyboard and just use voice to dictate a text? Okay. This question was a question that was asked by a researcher working at the Johns Hopkins University for IBM. And at that time, the technology was not mature enough to create anything that could be like a prototype. So what did they do? In fact, they just simulate the whole thing. And so they create what has been known now as a Wizard of Oz. So it means that they put a user in front of a microphone and a screen, and they ask him to just dictate a text. They put it in front of a computer, so the computer that you can see here with the big round thing, That was a computer at that time. Okay, so they were full of rooms, and and it could only make very simple calculation at that time. So the guy there, he really thought that the machine was working, and doing so, in fact, there was someone behind the curtain, and actually there was a real curtain there, and behind the curtain there was someone typing what the user was telling. And even if it's a very simple way to simulate the service, it allowed IBM to understand the kind of issue that could happen with such a system. And they understood that finally there were much more issues to address. That's the problems that the system could solve. For example, the question was, what about what is confidential and when you need to talk in an open space? What about things like, I want to give a comment, and how can I make the machine understand that it needs to get back to the first paragraph and change a chain of character? And how can I make it understand that it's different from the text, it's a command, and how can you deal about this? How can you distinguish between what is a punctuation and what needs to be typed? So all these problems that are directly related to voice recognition were unveiled by this very simple test. Okay, and this kind of test, we call them pretotyping, because it's just before prototyping. And pretotyping things make us understand what it is, and it's the idea is that we fake it to reveal it. So it helps us to understand and make things obvious by faking them. This kind of stuff has been used in several different times. And for example, very recently, this question was about what could happen if we have autonomous cars driving all around the cities and meeting people in the street, pedestrians, and how can we organize something that can help people to avoid what is today being managed by eye contact. When I want to cross the street and I see a car coming, I know exactly by crossing the eyes of the driver if he's going to go or if I am allowed to cross. Okay, this is done by very eye contact, very quick, very easy. The point is, when we do not have any driver and there is someone just near the road, and if you imagine yourself with your kids or a baby and you see an autonomous car stopping right near you, are you going to cross the street or are you going to wait? And probably you say something, let's wait. And if you do so, the car won't go. And the car won't go until they see you cross the street. And if there is no fire, the point is, very soon you'll end up with a huge, massive traffic jam. Okay, so the question was, is there a way that we could have some kind of signal? It could be a light signal where it helps human and machine to understand themselves as easier as it is with an eye contact as it is today. And that was the question that Ford was asking. And before they decided to really build an autonomous car to test the things, they saw, okay, maybe we could create some kind of light signal that anyone could understand. And doing so, they didn't want to spend too much money and time doing this, so they just fake the car. And they decide to create something where there is a driver within the seat. Can you see it? So Okay, so people really think that the car was driving by its own, but in fact it was someone inside. And this kind of prototyping method is called mechanical Turk. It has this name from an automaton, who was a machine supposed to play chess. And in fact, it was not a machine, there was someone hidden within the piece of furniture. But it's the same idea, there is someone who is inside the machine and it just fake it. So, and doing so, they were able to test this signal, this light signal, and see if people can get it, can understand when they can cross and when they need to stay, and give them some good guess about what the car is going to do next. So the idea is to fake it, to find it. And all these kind of things can also be used when you are questioned about vocal interface. That was our case. We were asked by a client what could happen if there is a vocal recognition system within the car, and how can it work, and are there some principles, some ways that it can be accepted or can be relevant. So we couldn't have time and money and resource to build the things, which is quite expensive. So we decided to rely upon a new kind of test called anticipated experience evaluation. And this test has been defined quite recently, only 6 years ago, and it's based on pictures that works as stimuli. And doing so, we get some feedbacks and insight from users, and using a grid that is a very famous grid by a UX designer called Mark Azenzahl. It allowed to us to find out the kind of principles and things that we need to respect while designing the system. So we learned that when you are a driver, you cannot accept to have someone not answering your orders, and you also need very clear feedback about did the system understand perfectly well what I ask. So I need some feedback. Sometimes it's even a visual feedback that is needed, especially when it's about journeys and place and this kind of things. Also, we also understood that there is no way to give any order to someone who is driving. It's probably like the story of your people, the people asking you, go this way and go faster, and no, be careful, all this kind of stuff that are just unbearable. It is exactly the same with a machine. So it's not possible to have a machine giving you any order while you are driving. And we also, it also revealed that we absolutely need to give an information that is directly related to your action and what you're doing. Anything that is just nice to know, nice to have information, just is irrelevant. So from this, we were able to formulate what we call design principles. So the kind of principle you need to respect while building and designing this kind of system. So you always need to give feedback to the user by reformulating. You always need to consider the driver as the unique master and the only one to decide. And the last is information is action. So any kind of information that is not related to action needs to be out. So thanks to this system, we fake it, and using this test, it was very helpful to understand how to design it. And Sometimes we are also asked about things that are much more service, so they are intangible things. You don't know exactly what touch point will be involved, so that's mainly an experience, a global idea about a journey. And we were asked, what about the lunchtime could be used to create team building within the companies, or is there something that can be done which could be relevant and help the HR within their mission? So we decided to use what is called smoke test, and smoke tests are inspired by the way that the startups work. So most of the startups which are successful have this mantra about sell it before you build it. So in the same, that's what this CEO did, and is showing you the checks that he succeeded to get from future customers that were paying him to build something. But there is no thing written, at least there is no a single line of code while it was already sold. So we follow the same idea about what about creating landing pages that show the different product, the different promises, and see what is the one that people like most and what is the one that people are willing to pay. So we create a campaign on LinkedIn to reach out to the HR people, and actually it was interesting because they show interest. It means that they click on the link that we were displaying on the page, but the point is that no one really engaged with us, and no one was willing to give his or her email address. So faking was very nice because it definitely helped us to understand that it was not a good idea. So we failed fast, but the idea was to succeed sooner. So it's also nice to fake it to forget it. And when you're working in innovation, you must get rid as soon as possible of false good ideas. And if you fake things, it's very easy because finally, if you fake things, it helps you to reveal it, to find it, to design it, and also to forget it, because our job is to do the right thing. So if you want to know more about all these techniques, which are much more numerous than the one that I could show you, I encourage you to foster you to have a look on this book. There is also a French translation, and you have everything about prototyping techniques. You can also have a look on ACT method and anticipate experience evaluation. You have all the resources online that helps you to conduct and carry out this kind of test. And last but not least, the real starter books with all the smoke test techniques that can be used and save you time and money, and be able to be sure about that, the fact that you are really building something which is relevant and add value to your user and to your business. So thank you.